Hello everybody, so today we're gonna be talking more about Gary Lewis, because Gary Lewis and the Playboys are great. And we also didn't finish the last time. And we probably won't finish in this video. This is probably gonna be a 3-part thing. So a couple things that I want to clear up before we get into where we were before. I was right about most of the chart listings for the albums and singles, but I was wrong about a couple. I also forgot to mention Doing the Flake, which it was a Kellogg's Corn Flakes promo release that, again, was just a promo release, so it did not chart. And it's a cool little EP with a picture sleeve on it. You can find it. It's not that expensive, and the other sides are This Diamond Ring and Little Miss Go-Go, which, like I said before, is the B-side to Count Me In. But it's a really interesting track, just about cornflakes. It's a dance kind of thing, I don't know. I was wrong about Save Your Heart For Me, though. Save Your Heart For Me got to 2, not to 4. I believe I was right about Everybody Loves a Clown, which got to 4. And that basically clears up everything, but I will also tell you the album stats. This Diamond Ring got to 26. A Session With got to 18, not 14. Everybody Loves a Clown got to 44. And the one that we're on now got to 71. And so, like I said, we did not finish this one the last time because I had to eat dinner. So, okay, there we are. We're back with this album. We're gonna start where we were, side 2. So, side 2 opens with a Beatles cover called Run For Your Life. Pretty basic Beatles cover, nothing too special about it, but Gary seems to like it, as they performed it live on Hullabaloo, as well as An Evening with Gary Lewis and the Playboys, which we will get to in a little bit. Take Good Care of My Baby, Bobby V cover. Nothing really too special about it. Gary's voice sounds a bit tired, I guess, or a bit rough, I guess, at the beginning, and that's probably because they were doing a session for like 6 hours and he was singing all day. So again, nothing too special about that. Down in the Boondocks, it's not my favorite on here. It's a good cover. I think Keltner definitely could have done a bit more with his great drumming on it than he did. But again, just a pretty basic cover. Nice lead from Gary, though. Next we come to one of my favorite tracks on the LP, You Didn't Have to Be So Nice, which is a cover of The Loving Spoonful. I love Tom Tripplehorn's guitar work in this. Gary's lead vocal in it is really, really great, even though it sounds a bit strained in a couple of spots. Just, because they were probably doing a session all day. But it's really, really great. Gary's voice on it, everything aside, is really, really good. And I like Keltner's drumming in it. It's really great. One of my favorites off the LP. Next is somewhat a fan favorite, Someone I Used to Know, which was, it wasn't written by them, but I don't think. But, it's their song. It's, their original thing. And I love Tom's lead guitar work in this. Gary's vocal in it is great. The background harmonies, one of the few times that Gary also sang the background vocals with Tom and Carl. At least to my ears. Really great hook. Like I said, great guitar from Tom Tripplehorn. And the pickup. But I have chains a lock on my heart. That part's really, really cool too. I like that. And the album closes with a Yardbirds cover called Heart Full of Soul, which has, again, some amazing lead guitar work from Tom Tripplehorn. And like I said in the last video, this album has some of his best guitar work. So that pretty much sums She's Just My Style, the album, up. recorded probably, January, February of 66. Released in March of 66, I believe. But yeah, overall a really great album. So around this time, Jim Keltner, I believe, was fired because he was I guess he was getting into arguments or something. Something happened between them and he was fired by Gary. And of course, he went on to do a ton of other things. I mean, you all know all that stuff. But with Keltner gone, it was time to find a new drummer. So they found the amazing Jim Karstein to fill in, or not to fill in, to replace Keltner. And he's definitely, I believe, a better drummer for Gary's style. Keltner was great. He added some great things to the band, but with Keltner, the music just got better and better after Karstein joined. But there's some little things in between Keltner leaving and Karstein joining that are a bit questioned. Kind of what? There is, I'll get to that in a second. So, basically, right after She's Just My Style came out, the album, Sure Gonna Miss Her also came out, the single. And it did pretty well. It got to 9 on the charts. The B-side is I Don't Wanna Say Goodnight, which I think is as good as the A-side. And I Don't Wanna Say Goodnight is written by P.F. Sloan and Steve Barry. So the whole thing about Sure Gonna Miss Her, is that I believe Gary is on drums, which is pretty surprising because he hadn't really drummed a lot since some of the sessions for Everybody Loves a Clown. But Keltner was gone and they needed somebody to play the drums. So Gary played. At least I think. That's at least what I hear. It's kind of funny because Keltner is on the picture sleeve, but, technically he could, because he's really the only, that kind of stuff. But the flip side, I Don't Wanna Say Goodnight, must have been done during the She's Just My Style album sessions because it's got Keltner on drums. So the whole thing with Gary drumming, I really don't know what the whole deal is there. Many people say it's Hal Blaine on drums, but again, I don't think so. He would have done so much more with that track. Now again, the drumming in that is pretty simplistic, but, this album hits again. Right before this, actually, Green Grass came out, which is the first song that Jim Karstein plays drums on. That one got to 8 on the charts, and the flip side is I Can Read Between the Lines, which is a really, really great song, which, again, I think has Gary on drums. So, before we get into the regular album, the closing track on the stereo version. The mono version has the regular single hit version of Sure Gonna Miss Her. But the stereo version of the LP, in fact, I do have both stereo and mono. The stereo LP, the closing track, which is Sure Gonna Miss Her, it's Sure Gonna Miss Her on both of them. But, the stereo version has an alternate take of the song, or like an earlier version, which, again, definitely has Gary on drums. He does a ton of fills in the alternate version, which he does almost none in the single version. And he does a lot of really great drumming in the alternate version. And I think that should have been the single. It would have been I think it would have done a little bit better than the one that they picked for the single. That one also doesn't really have any trumpets on it, unlike the mono one or the single one, which, of course has trumpets and that kind of stuff, and they sped up the trumpets, I guess, stuff Garrett did. I don't know the whole deal with that. But, basically, now we're on to the basic album. So, like I said, the lineup is still Gary on vocals and rhythm guitar, Carl Radle on bass, John West on quartervox, Tom Tripplehorn on lead guitar, and now Jim Karstein on drums instead of Jim Keltner. So now we can get into the basic stuff here. It was produced by Dave Pell, which he also produced this, and this is also this one. Dave Pell and Gary Lewis produced this, according to the back cover. So you know, this is kind of where Snuff takes a break from producing the album, and he really only produced singles. But he didn't produce Green Grass, which was a single. But yeah, Dave Pell does a really great job on both albums. And after this, he does not produce anything for ever. I don't think he does anything after this. Anyway, the album opens with a Hollies cover, "Look Through Any Window." Some really great little quarter vox and guitar trade-offs kind of thing going on, or like playing at the same time, from John and Tom. So really great song, really great harmonies from the Playboys. Track 2 is It's Too Late. Again, some really great harmonies. This album is really great with the Playboy harmonies. And I'm not sure. I think this is a cover. It might be an original. I'm not 100% sure about that one. Face in the Crowd, track 3, which is not a Gary original, but it was written for them. Really one of the best tracks on the album. Gary's lead in it is great. I love Jim's drums on it. Overall, a really great track, and it really does a lot for the album. Track 4 is A Well-Respected Man, which is a cover. A pretty basic cover. They didn't do too much with this, but again, it's just still a really great track. Track 5 is Rubber Ball, which, surprisingly, we're not really sure if it's really Wolfman Jack or if it's somebody else. But there is some kind of dude either imitating Wolfman Jack, or it's really Wolfman Jack just saying, "That's alright, baby," just randomly in like different parts of the song. It's really weird. But all that kind of goofy stuff aside, really great track. Really good cover. The closing track to this side is Green Grass, which, like I said, I already talked about that. Perfect timing to put out this song, because they put it out in late spring, and, you know, they say summertime is nigh in the song a ton of times, so they talk about being a springtime. That was a perfect time to put out that song, which is probably why it did so well. And I mean, even if they didn't put out in late spring, it probably still would have done really good, because it's one of the best singles. It's definitely after this, they just get more advanced and more. They step up every single and every album too. But again, really great. Some really cool quarter vox going on there from John. And side 2 opens with a Sloan Berry original, which was really the only thing before they did it, was a demo from P.F. Sloan and Steve Berry. Their version is really good. I mean, it's technically the first version. And really great falsetto from Carl Radel. Some pretty cool little licks in here from Tom. Gary's vocal in it is one of his best. One of my favorites. Track 2, we get a Knickerbockers cover, One Track Mind, which Tom's lick in this kind of stays the same. I think he, like, was supposed to do a solo, and he's like, oh, you know. And so, like, in the last 10 seconds of the solo, he does a little thing before they come back. But even though with that, they have some pretty cool effects going on the guitar. I really like Gary's vocal on this, too. It's really solid, and Jim's drums on it, he's really going with that, too. Track 3 is another P.F. Sloan and Steve Berry song, but this time it's a cover of the Turtles' You Baby. Pretty basic cover, but really cool. Love the vocals in this. Track 4 is I Can Read Between the Lines, which, like I said, appeared as the B-side to Green Grass, which I'm pretty sure is Gary on drums. Really great song. It's got a pretty cool storyline. Pretty great hook. Different things going on in that really make it one of my favorites. This album has a lot of my favorites by them, as you can tell. Daydream, we have another Lovin' Spoonful cover, although the last Lovin' Spoonful cover appeared on She's Just My Style, but Daydream. I really, really like this. Pretty sure Carl is doing the whistling in here. Gary's vocal kind of reverberated slightly. It's really, really cool. Overall, a really, really solid cover. And like I said, we already talked about this. The closing track is Sure Gonna Miss Her, and on the stereo version, you've got the alternate take with Gary going frantic on the drums, and the mono version with just the basic single version. So, I think that concludes Hits Again. Really, really great album. One of my top favorites from the band. And the chart listings, or the chart listing for the album itself, got to 47, which is a pretty big step up from 71, and which She's Just My Style. So next we get, well, in the summer and early fall of 66, you get My Heart Symphony, the single, and You Don't Have to Paint Me a Picture. My Heart Symphony was back with Tina, and that got to 13, and You Don't Have to Paint Me a Picture was back with Looking for the Stars, and that got to 15. But I will get to that when we get to the Paint Me a Picture album. Anyway, in between that, they didn't put an album out between May of 66 and January 67. Besides this. This came out in, I believe, October 66. And, they needed something to put out for Gary. So they put together basically his singles and threw this out. And it did really well. It got to, I believe, yes, it got to 10 on the charts. There's not really much to say about it. It's just his greatest hits. I'm really glad with the great copy that I have, because I love this interview. I love this. You get pictures of the Playboys. When do you get pictures of the Playboys, people? Okay. I love this. They should have done something like this for every album. It would have helped the album sell so much, I think. But I'm just going to go through the track listing really quick. This Diamond Ring, Count Me In, She's Just My Style, Tina, which I'm surprised they put Tina on here and not My Heart Symphony. I don't know what the deal is with that. Without a Word of Warning, Sure Gonna Miss Her. And the same thing happens with this, is the stereo version has the alternate take of Sure Gonna Miss Her, and the mono version has the single version. I don't know what the heck was going on with that. Side 2, Everybody Loves a Clown, I Won't Make That Mistake Again, Save Your Heart for Me, Little Miss Go-Go, Time Stands Still, and Green Grass. Pretty basic album, really great if you just want to get in a solid 25 minutes of Gary Lewis and the Playboys, and you don't have that much time. So not much to say about that, but really solid. So, like I said, at this point, they're doing massive amounts of touring, different things like that. Around this time, Gary gets informed that he is going to the service, or he gets a thing, you know. And everybody's like, Gary, your dad can get you out of this. But he said, no, if Elvis did it, I can do it. Sure as heck, he went in. But right before they recorded this fantastic masterpiece, really, really basic album cover, with a picture of Gary from 1965. This originally appeared as, I believe, the single picture sleeve to She's Just My Style, and it somehow made the album cover here. Really should have just threw a picture on of the Playboys. It would have been so much easier than filling it up with a paint palette. But, whatever. So, this album is, like I said, their first album, of new material in June, July, August, September, October, November, December, in 7 months. Bit odd, because most of their albums previous had come out within 3, 4, 5 months of each other. Don't know why they took them so long. I mean, probably just because they were touring a bunch. But really great. And so, right before I talk about this, they did a promotional single for, I think, one of Jerry Lewis's movies, Way, Way Out. And that's, I don't know, it's just a promo single, I guess. Not much is going on with that. Really, really great single, though. Or, great song. But anyway, back to this album. So, it opens with My Heart Symphony, which is the biggest hit from the album, which got all the way to 13 on the charts. And one of my favorites. Some really great little, like, guitar in there. Some quarterbox, too, and, like, the first time Gary's band really got a whole string section with the, you know, track 2 is Barefooting, which is a cover. Some really solid guitar work in this, and I love Carl's bass, and I'm pretty sure he's playing a 6-string here. I could be wrong, though. Track 3 is, well, it's a Kingston Trio cover, but they did it in the Beach Boys style. Sloop John B., which I believe the bass vocal in this is Tom, and some really cool little quarterbox things getting picked out from John. So track 4, we get the B-side to My Heart Symphony, Tina, which, again, really great little ballad here. And, yeah. Track 5, one of my favorites from the album, String Along, which is a Ricky Nelson cover. I really love Tom's lead guitar in this, and Gary's vocal in this is great. And I really like the Playboy harmonies going on here. And this side closes with You Don't Have to Paint Me a Picture, which, like I said, got to 15, and really has a lot of, like, horns going on in it, which are quite a few of the songs on this album does. Really a step back, I guess, in a tiny bit from My Heart Symphony. If they had done another single like My Heart Symphony instead of You Don't Have to Paint Me a Picture, I think they could have done even better. So that closes side 1. Side 2 opens with Where Will the Words Come From, which was a single that was released basically around the same time as the album came out, or shortly after, which sadly only got to 21. It's got some clarinet going on in there. I think that definitely could have done better. It's definitely a step up in their work. Track 2 is a Johnny Burnett cover of Year 16. Again, just a little bit of string arrangement going on here. And some great lead guitar licks in here from Tom Tripplehorn. And I love Gary's vocal on this, too. When Summer Is Gone is kind of like See You in September, the song. But I mean, and the opening line in this is I'll see you in September, so it's just like, you know, beginning, you know, whatever. Really great songs, a little bit of piano going on here. Just a basic ballad. It is a Gary original song. It's his song. Not his, but basically, it's not, you know, it's a Gary original. Not, you know. So, track 4 is Linda Lou, which, again, is a cover. Got, again, a lot of, like, different horn arrangements going on here. But Tom's lead guitar in this is great. And I like Gary's vocal. It cracks me up. Track 5 on the album, or well, technically it's track 11, but track 5 on the side, is, Looking for the Stars, which, is Gary, like, trying to just, like, talk to a bunch of people in Hollywood, trying to find, like, where big stars are, and apparently the people they got to talk on the thing were big stars. I don't know, but Playboys are playing some really cool little licks in the background and stuff like that, and it's really great. But Gary's just kind of talking, and it's funny, and at the end, you know, they're like, Gary, we're on, and they all scream, and I don't know. Really wild. So the album closes with, no pun intended, Wild Thing. So right after the ending of Looking for the Stars, you know, they go Gary Lewis and the Playboys, wah! And then Wild Thing starts. So pretty basic cover of the Trogs. Pretty cool instrument going on during the solo. I think it's a flute, piccolo, something like that. Again, I really like Jim's drumming in the last, like, 45 seconds of this, and Gary's vocal on this is really great, with some great Playboy harmonies. And so other than that, great song, great album. This album is really solid. It's one of my favorites. And this album got to 79, but they were kind of dropping off the charts a little bit by this time, so that kind of makes sense. I think I'm gonna close this here. I've only got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 albums more to do, and they don't really have too much going on outside of the regular albums because Gary was in the service. I could do one more. You know, I could. But I'm gonna wait this year. So, thank you all, and I will either be back later or in a couple days.